Over the past year, Ray Dalio has made several attempts to alert the world about a significant shift in global wealth and power distribution. To be more precise, this shift is characterized by the transition of power from the current dominance of the United States to the rising superpower status of China. Such statements undoubtedly carry immense significance. However, while being informed through these verbal pronouncements is one thing, knowing the specific actions an individual takes personally carries far greater value. Therefore, we're about to delve into the world-renowned company of Ray Dalio, Bridgewater Associates, the largest hedge fund globally. We'll peek into its portfolio to examine its largest assets and recent transactions to see if Dalio's public statements align with his actual investment moves. But before we dive into Bridgewater's actions, let's first understand what's happening with this global shift in wealth and power distribution. Ray Dalio's insights into the changing world order highlight how possessing the status of the world's reserve currency inevitably leads to excessive borrowing, fostering an environment where a country accumulates significant debts to foreign creditors. While this may boost the population's purchasing power in the short term, it deteriorates the country's financial health and weakens its currency's value over time. In essence, when borrowing and expenditures become too great, empires that may appear mighty at first glance are, in fact, weakening financially. The maintenance of power beyond a country's fundamental indicators through financing both excessive domestic consumption and international military conflicts necessary for empire maintenance begins to cost more than it brings in, making empire ownership economically unviable. This fascinating cycle delineates how affluent nations progressively find themselves entrenched in a quagmire of debt, resorting to borrowing from less wealthy countries that have the capacity to save more. This pattern of financial behavior marks the initial stages of a decline in power that, while subtle at first, eventually gains momentum, precipitating a rapid deterioration when the magnitude of the debt becomes unsustainable. Such a scenario invariably leads to an economic downturn, signaling a critical juncture for the indebted empire. At this pivotal moment, the once dominant nation faces a stark reality. Its ability to secure new loans to service existing debts is severely compromised, effectively signaling the bursting of a financial bubble that has long been in the making. This dire financial predicament presents the country with a dilemma of grave proportions, forcing it to choose between declaring default on its obligations or embarking on the path of printing additional currency. Historically, the choice has invariably leaned towards the latter, initiating a process where money creation is gradually ramped up before escalating into a much more aggressive expansion of the money supply. Such actions, though seen as a temporary fix, carry profound long-term consequences, primarily leading to the devaluation of the national currency. This devaluation, in turn, sets the stage for inflationary pressures to mount, eroding purchasing power and destabilizing the economic landscape. The ripple effects of these decisions are far-reaching, impacting not just the immediate financial health of the nation, but also its position and influence on the global stage. This cycle of debt, devaluation, and inflation serves as a cautionary tale of the precarious balance between financial might and economic sustainability. With a clear understanding of these fundamental components, let's turn our attention to Ray Dalio and Bridgewater Associates' specific actions. A look into the fund's portfolio reveals it holds nearly 1,000 different assets, underscoring Dalio's mastery of investment diversification. However, we'll focus on the top 10 largest assets. Notably, the portfolio's most significant share is invested in an emerging market fund, heavily weighted towards Chinese companies. This includes major positions in companies like TSMC, a Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturer embroiled in geopolitical tensions, but recognized by international law as a Chinese province, and other leading Chinese corporations such as Tencent and Alibaba Group. Analyzing Bridgewater's portfolio also reveals a strategic shift of capital from the American economy to the Chinese economy. While increasing its stake in companies from emerging markets, Bridgewater has simultaneously reduced its investment in funds focused on the American market. Positions in ETFs like IVV and SPY, which include stocks from the S&P 500 index, have been cut by 11% and 10%, respectively. Remarkably, 8 out of the top 10 assets have seen reductions, with the only increases being in the emerging market fund, heavily featuring Chinese companies, and Johnson & Johnson, traditionally considered a defensive sector company. In examining Ray Dalio's strategic maneuvers, it becomes undeniably clear that his vocal warnings about the pivotal global shift in wealth and power are not merely speculative commentary, but are deeply rooted in substantial investment decisions. Dalio's Bridgewater Associates, a titan in the hedge fund industry, has strategically positioned its portfolio to capitalize on emerging markets, with a pronounced emphasis on China. This deliberate reallocation of investments away from American corporations towards Chinese entities and other emerging markets is a tangible manifestation of Dalio's belief in the evolving dynamics of global economic power. Dalio's investment philosophy underscores a significant trend of capital migration from the traditional stronghold of the U.S. economy to the burgeoning economic landscape of China. This pivot reflects a keen understanding of the shifting sands of global wealth distribution and the necessity for investors to adapt to these changes proactively. By channeling resources into markets that stand to gain from the global economic rebalancing, Dalio's actions serve as a barometer for the international financial community, signaling the increasing importance of China and other emerging economies in the global arena. This strategic emphasis on emerging markets, particularly China, is not just a bet on geographic or economic shifts, but a considered response to deeper structural changes in the global economy. It speaks to the necessity for investors and policymakers alike to recognize and navigate the complexities of a world where power and wealth are becoming increasingly distributed. Dalio's approach exemplifies the importance of foresight and adaptability in investment strategy, reflecting a broader understanding that the future of global economics will be markedly different from its past, with the US and China at the forefront of this transformation. In conclusion, Ray Dalio's long-standing message about the global shift in wealth and power, particularly between the US and China, is not just rhetoric. It's a strategy reflected in the investment decisions of the world's largest hedge fund, Bridgewater Associates. As we've explored, Dalio's insights into the changing world order and his fund's portfolio adjustments offer a compelling narrative on the importance of recognizing and navigating the complexities of global economic trends. As investors and observers, it's crucial to consider these dynamics when making investment decisions and forming opinions about the future of global economies. I encourage you to share your thoughts and investment perspectives on the prospects of each country in the foreseeable future. Thank you for watching this video, and I wish you the best of success and smart investing. See you next time.